So I'm the Programme Director of the collaboration between the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland and the College of Surgeons of East, Central and Southern Africa, COSECSA. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why that collaboration exists, what we do in the collaboration, and then hopefully maybe some things we've learned along the way. So first of all, without going into detail, the problem is pretty simple. 5 billion people, most of the world's population, has no access to safe, timely, affordable surgical care, and that includes 93% of people in sub-Saharan Africa. The ratios of surgeons to populations it's quite scary. In the region we work in, it's just over half a surgeon per 100,000 people in the region, so it is a huge issue. Who is best placed to respond to that? We believe that it's the College of Surgeons, East Central Southern Africa. It is a surgical training college for 10 countries along the east coast of Africa there. Includes 94 accredited training hospitals, many of which have been mentioned actually in different partnerships here. I heard KCMC and Muhimbili in Tanzania, Queen's in Blantyre, what else was there? Mbarara in Uganda. These are all COSECSA training hospitals. So at the moment, over 400 surgical trainees. And we have graduated 158 surgeons since 2004, but as you can see, with 400 in training at the moment, the numbers are increasing exponentially. Why do we think that working with COSECSA is the best way to do this? Well, frankly, it's a local organization with a local qualification. RCSI has no interest in bringing RCSI's qualifications to the region. It's not appropriate. The curricula do not fit the local context, nor exactly does the training. So we don't attempt to bring RCSI's model of training to East Central Southern Africa. We attempt to build up COSECSA's own training model. And COSECSA has that ability to scale up training. When we started, there was a very small number, about 30 surgical trainees. Now we've over 400. We would hope to get that well over 1,000 in a short number of years, which is, it's already significantly bigger in terms of surgical training than RCSI is itself, which I think is interesting. So we support all aspects of that. It's a whole college collaboration. We try to work with essentially everything that COSECSA needs help in scaling up, and that's a lot of things. So a wide range of activities, as I said, and very kindly and steadfastly funded by Irish Aid. Something maybe that might be interesting is to point out the governance of this. It's governed by a steering committee, a board of directors, if you wish, which is 50-50 representation between RCSI and COSECSA. So we think that's a model that has served us well. I'll go through some of the activities of the collaboration. In terms of training, we've done Train the Trainer courses, which is essentially teaching methodology for surgeons, bedside teaching, delivering lectures, all of that. That's how you become an accredited trainer. We've trained up basic science faculty to train surgeons in pathology, physiology and anatomy. Seminars in orthopedic surgery and general surgery. And essential surgical training, which is an innovation teaching junior doctors basic surgical techniques in Zambia, Rwanda, and Zimbabwe. And in fact, it was interesting, the week after one of our courses, the Minister for Energy in Zimbabwe was involved in a car crash and was given an emergency chest drain by one of our trainees, saving the minister's life. So we have very good government buy-in in Zimbabwe. We also have a mobile surgical skills training unit, which is the only one of its kind in the world. Currently in Tanzania, it's a base for a number of different surgical training courses. Brings the courses to the people, so to speak. And because you've seen the geography, it's a huge region. It's something like 4,000 kilometers from Maputo in the south to Addis Ababa in the north. E-learning is a necessary component. It's just, with the geography, 94 training hospitals, we have to do a lot of things online, where in a smaller geography like Ireland, you can just bring people to Dublin. So we've been very involved. We've, with COSECSA, created the only specialized surgical e-learning platform in the region. We used to equip IT labs all around the region as well, but technology has surpassed that, and now it's all laptops and mobile broadband. We've also worked with the WHO on producing e-learning for their surgical interventions. We work on exams. We have, again, something that might be interesting is a two-way exchange of examiners and external examiners. So RCSI trainees are examined by COSECSA examiners here and also in the Middle East, as well as COSECSA trainees being examined by RCSI examiners. Two-way exchange, which is allowed for, we think is a kind of a respectful, mutual model, and has allowed for a lot of kind of transfer of techniques. We benchmark the exams against the COSECSA and RCSI exams against each other, and essentially, while there are some differences in certain areas, it's a comparable standard of trainees. And there's other collaboration on exam techniques. I think where we've perhaps had the most impact is the least perhaps sexy and exciting in terms of a presentation. It's the administration. Building up everything a surgical training college needs. In terms of staffing, in terms of record keeping, financial management, processes, all the back office stuff, human resources, all the back office stuff that it's hard to take a nice photograph of, but is absolutely vitally important. And planning, strategic planning, financial planning, again, not something that maybe we kind of. It might come first to your mind in terms of clinical partnerships, but this is really something that we see as absolutely vital. We want to take our lead. The RCSI wants to take its lead from COSECSA, and enabling COSECSA to really articulate that vision for what it wants to do has I think has really driven the partnership forward. Here are some of the tools and platforms we've created for e-learning, websites, strategic plans, social media, publicity, and all within the COSECSA brand, which is really helping to promote that. We have helped COSECSA manage its information. COSECSA now has details of every single surgeon in East, Central, and Southern Africa. And I wonder if the HSE in Ireland has quite that detail, but I won't ask. I won't ask. So it's really significant, the amount of detail that COSECSA has. We can tell you where every single surgeon is, what they're doing, to a high but not perfect degree of accuracy. We also have built a bespoke surgical training electronic logbook, which I'm assured is the most high-tech surgical electronic logbook in the world. And the joy of it is that it runs so easily on your mobile phone. It's super, super easy to use. And all trainees are now logging their operations in that. It's a very useful tool for the trainees, but it also shows for the first time what exactly surgical trainees across those 94 teaching hospitals are doing, which will be invaluable. I mentioned that we have details of every surgeon. We've put that up online, open access. So obviously not the names or any confidential information. But if you want to go to the COSECSA website and go to About Surgery, you can look and see where every surgeon is, down to their hospital, their specialty, their gender, anything you might want to know. It's a crude measure, but here are some measures of progress. Numbers of candidates sitting the COSECSA exams. The blue period is after the collaboration program began. And in fact, next month, we'll have 111 candidates sitting the exam, so that'll be well off the top of the chart. We think we're pretty happy with that. The key to successful partnership, I wouldn't claim that we have any special knowledge in that, and I think the resources that Andrew pointed out on the TET website are a fabulous place to go to look for that, but maybe we might have something useful to share. So, key to successful partnership. Oh, no, sorry. I don't know how that got in there. Okay, so some things that we've seen over time that don't work in the long term, in our opinion, is when the project is someone's project. Is it John's project or Mary's project? Now, like by necessity, that's probably the way that most partnerships start. But it's the transition away from that that's absolutely key. The people who were involved at the start of our collaboration program are no longer involved, and some no longer with us. But the project moves on, irrespective of staff. It's institutional, it's not personal. So I think that's really key. I think we've seen in other, some other programs, people get tired. They have other responsibilities. To continually being out there, fundraising, managing the project, while doing your own job is possible for a few years, but not in the long term. We've also seen, I think, when you're creating significant new demands on existing staff on either side, it's not sustainable in the long term. Innovation or supply of equipment without building the capacity to implement that, to keep that going, to manage that, to manage the finances, again, we see issues with that in the long term. And as has been mentioned, unclear lines of responsibility. I think all partnerships, well, frankly, we have, we've always found it a little difficult, you're working in partnership. Who takes responsibility when it goes well or when it goes badly? Who claims credit for the successes or takes the blame for the failures? It is by its nature slightly ambiguous. So I think, as much as possible, really to have clear lines of responsibility. Who is to deliver on A, B, C, and D? The next slide is essentially the opposite of the previous one. What does work? Institutional collaboration is not personal. The project helps us how the institution meet their own targets. Is it in their plan? Are you creating a new target that is, laudable, might not be something that they were aiming for in the first place? We think, as a non-clinician, I think that non-clinical cooperation has a huge benefit. Of course, there's a lot to be gained from clinical cooperation. We'll hear lots of examples around that. But I think we have a particular emphasis in our program on the administrative side, the management side. And we think that's a huge benefit. All of your organizations and all of our organizations, they all have a lot of staff, a lot of non-clinical staff, human resources, IT, finance, communications. These people can be brought into the collaboration and may have a lot to offer. Dedicated staff, we said if you're creating new responsibilities, at some stage you're going to need to create a post or a part of a post that is dedicated to that work. And we think our governance structures have worked well in that we have a board of directors with 50-50 representation. We think that works well.